Hey everybody, welcome to the introductory episode for Real Ripe and Real Rotten. It's a new film podcast that Clay and I are going to be putting out twice monthly, every other week. I think it's going to be coming out maybe on the Wednesdays. That seems to be the plan for now. But we're going to be doing a film podcast called Real Ripe and Real Rotten, and we're going to be using Rotten Tomatoes to determine the highs and lows of an artist's career, and then try to decide what went right and what went wrong. If you don't know, Rotten Tomatoes is a aggregator website that sort of collects all the reviews of films, and it gives it a Rotten Tomato score, which is like an algorithmically decided score based out of 0 to 100. The higher the rating, the better the movie is, allegedly. And if you go to search for an artist or a director on Rotten Tomatoes, it'll bring you to their page, and you can sort what their entire filmography would rank by their Rotten Tomato score. So what we're going to do is each month we'll pick someone like John Carpenter, Quentin Tarantino. I'm having a hard time thinking of people now, but directors, Tom Cruise, John Travolta, blah, 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 Samuel Jackson. We'll go to their Rotten Tomatoes page and we'll find the highest rated and the lowest rated film, and then we'll talk about them. So you get 2 podcasts a month every other week, and one will be about the high and one will be about the low of such and such's filmography. There's a couple little catches to that. On Rotten Tomatoes, it includes everything, so we have to exclude a few things. So it's not just a pure results thing. If you look up someone and you see that the result is different, it might just be the time has passed and the ratings have changed, or it might be a couple of these rules. Like, we're going to be ignoring documentaries. It'll have to be a fiction film. It will, sometimes highly rated documentaries show up and people are just talking heads in them, so we're not going to count those. Screenplay credits don't count for anybody. Executive producer credits don't count. That's big for people like Tarantino and Carpenter, where they have a lot of really low-rated stuff, but they're all executive producer credits for them. Directors will have to actually direct the film. They'll have to be credited as the director. Actors will have to have a substantial role in it, like probably a top 3 billing. Think about if they're not on the movie poster. That's not really a hard rule, but if they're not on the movie poster, it's not likely to be included in their top role. It's not going to be small walk-on roles where they have a scene and then go away. Even if it's a very highly regarded scene, I don't think that's the best way to go about it. So the directors will have to direct the movie. Actors will have to be substantially involved in the story. I think that's it. Yeah, so we're using Rotten Tomatoes. Clay and I will be doing it. We'll use Rotten Tomatoes to sort of figure out the highs and the lows, and we'll do a podcast about each one, sort of focusing on the actor or director, but at the same time, it's a very general film discussion, a film review type thing. It's just the gimmick is just a way to sort of get us a spectrum of results. We can look at good movies, we can look at bad movies, and we can take it from there. So if you like our criticism of the Star Treks and the Prisoners and the Patreon podcast, if you guys are patrons, this will be more of the same. It just kind of has a little bit of a film gimmick. It's a way for us to watch more movies and to get different things to talk about. Again, Clay and I are going to co-host. Guests will be possible in the future. Patreon is going to be used to decide what we talk about. So if you want to support the show and you want to have a input into what we talk about, you can go to patreon.com/the Pensky file and vote once a month on what we cover. This month, I put the question to the patrons, and I put a Star Trek theme, since we're kicking off of the Star Trek podcast, which is thepenskypodcast.com, if you're unfamiliar. Patrons selected Patrick Stewart over William Shatner. It was a 60 to 40 vote, 60% to 40 vote, and Patrick Stewart walks away the winner. So we are going to be talking about Logan at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Christmas Eve, which is at 0%, and it has like 15 ratings. So it's not a fluky 2 rating 0. It's a real true 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Christmas Eve, he's actually top billed in that one. I had never heard of it until I had to look it up. So Logan, Christmas Eve, Patrick Stewart is our first coverage. It'll be me and Clay going forward, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Patrons will be able to, not just patrons, but everyone who listens will be able to chime in and give suggestions about what they want covered in the next month, and then we'll vote on it on Patreon. You can check out all the social media in the description below, in the podcast blurb or the video description. You can subscribe. I would suggest subscribing as an MP3 to download this as a podcast. I don't get those sweet YouTube dollars, but I think that if we're going to be using movie clips, YouTube might have a hissy fit and take some of the videos down. So the best way to get these is to subscribe as an MP3, and I'll put the links up in the video description or in the podcast blurb. These will go up on YouTube, as I just said, but they might be taken down depending on how pissy the studio is about these things and how the automated copyright catcher catches things. That's about it. It's called Real Ripe and Real Rotten, R-E-E-L in both of those. So that's the play on words. It's not real, R-E-A-L. It's real as in a film reel. Real Ripe and Real Rotten. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. Thank you for supporting us, and hopefully you enjoy Patrick Stewart. We're going to be talking about Logan and Christmas Eve. We'll see you soon.